Welcome back to LoyalTzzz Podcast, episode 5. I'm here with the homie Maurice. How's it going?
What it do, bro? Just chilling, man, chilling. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good,
Hell yeah,
worked.
dude. I feel it. I'm pretty tired from work, but we're
Yeah,
here.
we're here out by the lake
Yep.
doing the podcast.
Yep.
You're the first guest. Well, I guess I've had my dad and sister, but you're the first guest
Hell
outside of
yeah.
that.
Big dog in this motherfucker.
Anyways, so what would you like to talk about? What is the topic when I said let's do a podcast that came to mind?
Oh man, honestly, my topic was more of like a just go with it, Let's just have a good time, like just go with it,
Okay,
We can talk about anything really, but just vibe out.
one thing I want to start with is you came from up north down to a small town. What would you say without any like immense detail, what is like a crazy experience that, makes it to where you're happy you're out of the city? Like what was a day-to-day experience that kind of made it like annoying or tiring being up there?
So probably the most annoying. Well, yeah, the most annoying thing up there and the best thing down here is the people.
Yeah.
There's shitty drivers up there, obviously. But then you obviously run into those people at like the mall that you don't like, and
Yeah.
you might get in a fight with them or whatever. Up there you always got to worry about all these issues. And for me, like I have family up there that sometimes I just don't want to see and stuff.
Yeah.
And so moving out here is just like, because I have no family out here, I
Yeah.
just got everybody like you guys that I met at work and just met around and stuff, but definitely the people, there's such good people out here, dude.
Yeah.
There's
A
really
little
good
more
people out here.
calm, a little peaceful.
Yeah, like one of my first times actually realizing how different it is out here is my tire popped one time in my Durango, and it was in Spring City. It was
Oh,
in Spring
okay.
City, and it popped on my way there. And I pulled over, and I was gonna grab my tire out the back. And just during like 2 or 3 minutes, I had like 3 or 4 not cops, but cars pull over. And then the owners of the house I was in front of came out. Like there's always so many people
Willing to
around
help.
ready
Yeah.
to help. And so they had one guy was like, "Oh, well, I got a tire at my house. I'll just go grab it for you. You can keep it." And he grabbed it, brought an impact because they impacted my wheels onto my car. Super hard to take off. And so he brought an impact, brought a tire, and that was like one of my first realizations on how different people are out here.
Yeah. You do it up north, everybody's driving by.
Nobody
No
gives a shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
no one's
nobody
stopping.
gives a shit. And so that was one of the big things for sure.
Yeah. So up north, right? Salt Lake or whatever. Obviously teenage years, probably a lot more like troublemaking. What would you say like moving here, your kids will have like better chances of not being involved with certain things? Like
Yeah, another thing, just the people, dude. Like growing up there, like you could be in like in a shitty neighborhood,
yeah,
and go to school with other shitty people.
yeah,
Like I was raised around a lot of gangs, a lot of drug use and stuff. And growing up there, there's a lot of people up there raised around that too.
yeah,
And so you guys are all kind of absorbing the same thing, and when you guys get together, it just explodes. And then
yeah,
you guys start doing drugs or whatever.
yeah. Some people, absorb it and they decide to not, further that in their life. But the more you're around it, it encourages you to continue that in your like, passed down generations
Yeah.
type deal.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so glad I live out here, because it was like that. It's like a generational curse,
Yeah,
One person starts it and it just keeps going until somebody's ready to stop it, Like most like more than half of my family have been into drugs, you
Yeah.
know. Most of my family, more than half of the men in my family have been in a gang.
yeah,
And that's just how I was raised, and that's what I was raised around. And so I'm glad that even though I have no family out here, even though I am in the middle of nowhere, and it might not be a lot of things to do, it could get boring and stuff, but at the end of the day,
there's
it's
that
a better
peace. Yeah.
future for my kids, and I'm with it. I'm here for it. Even if I don't like it or whatever, I'm with it. I'm here.
Yeah, because it's not like there's not negative things about down here or like not posers. Because I've met plenty of kids that act like they're
Oh
part
yeah.
of a gang or
Yeah.
created a gang down here.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely, I mean, even with the Mormon influence, at least you know they're hanging out with people that are against drugs and against gangs and violence and all that. Even
Yeah.
though they're not like into the Mormon church, they're around people that aren't gonna like kind of taint their experience as
Hmm.
kids and teenagers and all that.
Yeah, and yeah, like perfect example. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I'm not a heavily church goer. I don't really go to church.
Yeah.
I don't ever go really. But when my daughter goes, cause she likes to go, so
Oh,
when
really?
she goes, every kid in that class knows her from school.
Yeah.
And everybody knows my daughter as just like a super nice kid. Sweet little girl. And so it is nice to know that she's around people that have a better future ahead of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that anybody that comes from like what I came from is gonna have a shitty future,
Yeah. It's all
but
mental.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
all like what you go through and how you go from it. But
like how your life has probably even progressed just by making the choice, even with what you went through, to move down here and away from it. Like you can either absorb it and stay in it, or
hmm
you can choose to leave it. Like not a lot of people are trying to run away from it. A
yeah,
lot of people allow it to
hmm
take them in and become a part of it.
yeah, and so I mean, there's cons, pros and cons everywhere.
Yeah.
And some days I feel like the cons outweigh the pros, but at the end of the day, when you have that last 30 minutes, hour to yourself before you go to bed, and you're reflecting on your day, and just your life, and you're just having
Yeah.
that moment of thinking. When you're in the moment, you're always going to think your cons
Yeah.
outweigh your pros.
Because everybody, I mean, negative is always easier to like. Say I'd be
Hmm.
like, oh, I lost $100 or I won $1 million or something. You always believe the negative thing over the positive thing because positive is so rare.
Hmm.
Like we're not all used to hearing and being accepting of positive things.
Yeah.
So negative is always easier to go along with.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm glad I made the move. I like it
Yeah.
out here. It's really cool.
So if there's like one, is there anything that like makes you like, damn, I would go back for this reason? Like, what would be that reason? Like back to the city life over the middle of nowhere country life.
Probably family, you know? I mean, it sucks not having family,
Yeah.
because I don't ever have like a babysitter or anything. Like
Yeah.
it's just me and my family, me and my girl. We never get time alone or anything. It's
Yeah.
just our family. I mean, we love it. We're all like super happy together. We're all having good days, movie nights all the time, video games, everything. And we love our life.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have a wider family, a
Yeah.
bigger circle, you
Yeah.
know.
And probably they're not easily convinced to move down here. They enjoy where they're at or what?
I wouldn't even convince them to move down here. This is my area.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up. you know, I like it out here. Don't come out here and
I
mess
feel
it
like
up.
one of your like biggest problems so far, like coming down to the small town where obviously this is mostly white populated.
Yeah,
Probably a lot of, eyes looking at you,
yeah,
targeting you
yeah.
based off of, being Mexican or any tone to your skin.
I feel like the big thing really is, because I have like hand tats and
Yeah.
stuff,
Big.
and I wear baggy clothes.
Yeah.
I don't
You obviously
dress.
don't look like people that live here.
Yeah, I don't look like anybody out
Yeah.
here. So it is an eye catcher.
Yeah.
I do catch a lot of eyes, but they look at me, and they're like, "Who is this crazy gang member?" Whatever, they whatever they think.
And then they meet you
And then
you
I
got
walk
kids,
past
all
them
that.
and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you guys doing? I'm nice. I'm
Yeah.
cool. I'm not a dick. I'm a cool guy."
A lot of them are probably still silent judging
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I'd say
But
cops would probably be a problem. Like,
it was a big problem out here. I mean, it still is. I get pulled over quite a bit.
yeah.
And when one of the first times I was pulled over, he I'm not sure if he like checked. I don't know what, because everything I have in my record is
Yeah.
all juvenile.
Yeah.
I got out of it before it all became so too big.
Yeah.
But I did get pulled over, and he pulled me out the car, and he was asking me why I was out here, and I
Of
said, well,
course.
yeah, I said,
Classic.
well, I just live out here with my family. Like, what do you mean why I'm out here? And then he's like, yeah, like, well, what made you come out here? And I was like, well, I just wasn't doing good in Salt Lake. Not that I have to explain myself to you, but I just didn't want, I moved out here for my family.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, what were you doing? Were you doing like home invasions up there? Like, do you smoke dope? Like, ask me all these questions. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't do any of that, you know? Like,
Yeah, just leave me alone. I mean, why did you pull me over?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I had my spoiler light was
oh,
dangling.
which is ridiculous
It
reason.
doesn't even work, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even.
Yeah.
It's not a violation.
Yeah. I just was getting gas. He noticed it was dangling when I was getting gas and he pulled me over for it.
Yeah.
And then it all just see, but even then, like it all turned into this whole situation of him questioning me and everything, you know. But once I was like, you know, because I'm not a dick, especially to the cops, you know,
Yeah.
like I tell my girl all the time and my kids all the time. I tell them all the time, you know, the best thing to do is just to be cool, you know.
Yeah.
If you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong, you know. Take it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you did
Even
it,
if
do
they
it.
are being dicks, they have, they believe they have the authority. So
Mm-hmm.
usually you're not going to win. I
Yep.
mean, in that situation, maybe eventually you can get it to a lawsuit or something, but usually in that situation, it's going to be there's this white from this area country hick cop that's targeting this person with any type of background, that isn't from here. They're going to win.
Yeah. So that cop, excuse me, after we had our conversation, and he actually like understood kind of like my like what I'm doing out here,
Yeah.
you know, like how he said whatever, you know. But after that, he really just let me go, you know. He was just like, "Hey man, like I'm sorry, dude. Like I didn't mean to like start this whole thing with you tonight, you know.
Yeah.
Like, just get out of here, you know."
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. If you don't look like the people from here, they assume you're out of place. And obviously, you're going to stand out. So they're going to treat you completely different, especially if you don't have a certain last name
Mm-hmm.
or you don't know these people, because everybody knows each other for the last 20 years,
Yep.
Everybody has this relationship, so they need the either teens that are driving to Target because they're bored or someone that's not from around here,
Mhm. Yeah,
obviously.
like that's one thing I do worry about with my kids for sure, you know, is the discrimination, you
Yeah.
know. I don't want them to be discriminated at all, you know.
Which this place
And
isn't just discriminatory against race. It's also just if you don't seem like you belong here.
yeah,
You
if
don't
they
have the
don't know
name.
you,
Yeah.
they're so tight down here that they
Yeah.
know everybody, and they're not used to new faces, and they're not always so welcoming to new
Yeah.
faces, you know. And so that is one thing I do struggle with my daughter. I mean, I see little discrimination here and there, you know. She struggles with kids at her school too sometimes, you
Yeah,
know. Like,
because the amount of color pool here is very limited.
it's so limited, you know. But
Plus a lot of these people, they're country, they grew up in this small town. They're very racist,
yeah,
like majority. Even openly racist.
but I don't mind it, you know.
Yeah, it is.
I'll fight about my kids, you
Yeah.
know. So
It is what it is. I
you
mean,
know, they're fine.
yeah. So what grade's your daughter in?
She's in first.
Okay, so I mean, I imagine people aren't being too judgmental yet.
No, not yet. It's really just like
And as long as
she.
I mean, you said she's nice, and I've
She's
met her.
really
She's
nice.
chill,
She's
so
cool.
she shouldn't have any problems. There's always gonna be like a bully or someone
Mhm,
that's
that's
rude
what
for
it
no
is.
reason. But
That's what it is. You're always gonna find them, you know.
yeah,
And if you're not the person to like get into conflict, then it might continue to happen, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want my daughter to get in any conflict, you know. Just
yeah.
do you, you
Do
know?
you? Everything will pass.
Yeah.
They'll get what they get.
Hmm.
Most people that bully. I mean, I can't say I haven't been a bully. I feel like everybody's been a bully and been bullied.
Oh, for sure.
in a
you
way.
know, for sure.
Like so even with that, usually the person that's consistently bullying probably will end up going nowhere. The person that is nice will end up somewhere. In most situations.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like a kid is a kid, you
Yeah.
know. You can't blame a kid for acting out, you know, even if they're acting out the wrong way, you know, like it's
Yeah.
just what they're shown or what they're taught, you know,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's just
And everybody
how
learns
they
from their own.
yeah, sometimes they just don't know how to express themselves, you know, and that's where it comes in for like the parents to
Yeah.
sit them down and be like, you know, you can talk, you know, like
Yeah.
you don't have to do this or that, you know, you can actually like have a conversation, you know.
Yeah, what I hate about this generational parent teaching, like how to be a parent, is throughout all this time, a lot of parents, they tell their kids not to do things that they've done themselves.
Hmm.
It's like, how are you going to tell me these stories of things you did and hope I learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what, you can get mad at them and there could be punishment or whatever, but you'll never learn from someone else's mistakes in 99% of cases. It always takes doing it yourself. And maybe you won't have to. Maybe sometimes it's just something you're not interested in, but in a lot of different situations, you have to find out on your own. It's your path.
Yeah, like I grew up with my grandma, and I was with my grandma because my parents were on drugs so
Yeah.
much. My mom, I'm not sure where she was. I didn't like actually fully build a relationship with her until I
Yeah.
was probably about 8, maybe.
Okay.
Until further on in my life. So that whole time, I didn't know who she was. My sister knew who she was, but I didn't. And my dad was in prison up until I was like 10.
Okay.
So that's why I was with my grandma. And when my dad did get out of prison, he would tell me about what happened there, like
Yeah. You kind of hype it
stabbings,
up a little
yeah,
bit, like, oh, this was crazy.
stabbings, all this stuff, right? And then at the end of it, he would be like, "But it's not worth it,
It's
or
not cool.
whatever,
Don't do
yeah."
that.
And it
Like
would
they'll
still
have a
turn me
smile on their
on.
face, and they'd be like all talking about it, like these stories, like, oh,
And you're smiling the whole
yeah,
time
you're
too,
like listening to it like this is a
Yeah.
movie, and then they tell you, yeah, you don't want to do that, and you're like,
well, I'm going to now.
yeah, they'll talk about it and hype it up, and then end it with, no, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of cases you probably shouldn't do most of the things, but like I said, you kind of learn from your own, and sometimes you wish you did listen,
Yeah.
but you don't learn from that. That's not how learning works.
Yep.
Mistakes are your own,
Yeah, I mean, I grew up kind of crazy, but at the end of the day, I would never switch my life with anybody else's.
Yeah. It's it's the way it was intended.
Even
And-
now, like even as I'm older, I still go through things, like I lost my son last year, like I
Yeah.
still go through things, but at the end of the day, if I didn't grow up how I did, and I didn't learn how to comfort myself and how to get through things,
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to handle it the way you did.
I probably would have crashed out, like
because I mean that's a traumatic experience,
Yeah.
and no one wants to experience that and everything. But I mean, in the way you handled it as the provider of your home and everything, you didn't let it cause you to not be at work and not make the money to provide for everyone. You didn't let it,
And when it did, I recognized it, and
you're like, I can't let this stop me from
yeah,
providing still.
because I was messing up, when I first lost him. I was drinking a lot,
Which is understandable.
Yeah, I was
100%.
messing up, and then when I did come back to work, I remember I think the week I came back to work, I think I missed 2 days out of that week, just because of how much I was drinking, and I
Yeah.
just wake up, just not wanting to go to work, you
Yeah.
know. And I remember I woke up, I think on a Thursday or a Friday or something, right? And I wasn't at work, and I knew I needed to be, and so I called my boss, your dad, and I was like, hey man, like, I'm sorry, I've been so out of it, but
Yeah.
I'm just still trying to deal with this, but I'll make sure I get my shit together now. And after that, I made sure like
Yeah.
to be better, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously everybody still slips up, everybody still
And obviously that's
misses
something that will
days.
never
Yeah.
you'll never be able to escape the feeling
Yeah.
of that.
Mhm.
But I'm just glad that you acknowledged it and that you realized, no one, in a way, when you grow up rough or whatever, no one is here to hold you up when things happen to you that are
Mhm.
bad. No
Yeah.
one's going to do any of that stuff. So you can't, like, that's why I admire people that have experienced rough things in life. It's because those people, they know they don't got someone they can call to, they know they are on their own in this in a way.
I feel like you do have people though, like
I mean, you do.
could reach out if you wanted to, if you really like, if it's really too hard for you, and you really feel like you're struggling, you can reach out, like if I really was struggling really hard, and like I couldn't do it anymore, I know I could have reached out to you,
Yeah.
and you would have been there, your dad, like
Yeah. It's just not
you know-
as like I mean, yeah, you can, but in this way you have the strength and all this that you're like, I got this on my own.
Mhm.
While people that haven't experienced a lot in life and their hardest thing in life is something that was your easiest, they have all these people coddling them all the time.
Yeah.
Like I could say I'm there for you, if you need me or
Mhm.
whatever. But at the end of the day, no one in this world where you don't have, rich family and all this, no one's wiping your ass, no one's doing anything for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a way, you can, but you know that the only person you got 100% is yourself, and to get
Mhm.
yourself through it.
Yeah. And I feel like that just falls off of on how we grew up,
Yeah.
because I'm sure there's people out there that can't go through anything by themselves,
Yeah.
like they need someone there through everything,
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm grateful,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for what I went through. It might have been traumatic, it might have
had some negative
Yeah,
effects,
it,
or
it could have had some effects on me, like it did,
yeah,
like, but at the end of the day, I seen my wrongs and I seen their wrongs, and
yeah.
you just learn from it.
And it just makes you so strong, because then when you have those days that where it's the hardest for someone else, but it's something so small, you're just accepting of it. It's not a big deal. Like I remember when I was younger, a lot of kids my age, they would be like 17, 18 years old, and their parents would get a divorce. And
Yeah.
that was the most traumatic thing in their life. And for a long time, I was like, what the hell's wrong with these kids? They're all crybabying, like that's so bad or whatever. But I realized recently it's like, what could be so hard for someone else could have been so easy for me, but that is the hardest thing they've experienced.
Hmm.
So every hard that happens that's harder than the last, you shouldn't always, like, I've learned to not compare myself to others, because say stubbing their toe was the most pain they experienced,
Yeah.
and mine was breaking my fucking legs or whatever. That is the most pain they've experienced.
Yeah.
So I can't be like, oh no, what the hell? I went through this. Well, that's the worst they've experienced as a person.
I feel like at the end of the day, however you feel, is always, just always be confident in yourself,
Yeah.
always believe in yourself, like you're not going to be able to do anything if you don't think you can,
Yeah.
like if you just need to make sure that you're there for yourself, like
Yeah.
if nobody's there for you, be there for yourself.
Like recently, as I've tried to better myself, I've taken because a lot of grammar, a lot of things you say are the reason things don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I can't, then I probably won't try.
Mm-hmm.
In life, you could say can't, and you'll say tomorrow, and you'll say this and that to make yourself feel better. Excuses are only to make yourself feel better for not doing something you think you should.
Yeah.
Like, if I make up an excuse, I can't do this podcast today, I'm busy, we could do it tomorrow. Well, I don't know there's going to be a tomorrow, and, make time. There's plenty of time in every day.
This could be the one,
Yeah.
like
Opportunity comes and goes.
always take that risk,
Yeah.
Because regardless, you might get something good out of it. Regardless, you'll get something good out of it, whether it works for you or not.
Because it was a disciplinary act.
If it doesn't work, you learn from it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you'll always get something from it.
Yeah. A lot of people nowadays, all I hear is a lot of people, thinking, tomorrow's always going to happen, and you have all this time to do what you want in life. Oh, well, I'm only this age. Things happen all the time. Like, even for you, you became a dad at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably thought, I could do all these things, and I have time, I'm young. And then you became a dad and whatnot. Or even different things, like people become paralyzed or whatever.
Yeah.
Certain things happen, and you'll realize, I should have done it.
Yeah, and
when
that's
I
what sucks.
thought of doing it.
That's what sucks for real. It's because you're always gonna have those regrets. But don't beat yourself up for it.
Yeah.
Just
learn to build with what you got now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Things change, but be accepting of that and move on and figure it out. Like, even as a young parent, you do well, and like it probably was like a good thing to make, kind of force you to be more responsible in a way, because you now are responsible for more than just yourself. As a young
feel
parent.
like at the end of the day, I feel like God just has always had my back. Like growing up, all I wanted to do was be in a gang.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was to go to prison and
because that's what you were
fuck
subjected
around.
to as
Yeah.
being cool.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
That's what made you a man in the world of city gangs.
It's just my family.
Yeah.
And so one night, because I'm Native American,
Yeah.
one night we were getting our Native American names, and I remember that night I got my name, and everybody has like cool names, like Eagle Shield or like all this cool stuff,
Yeah.
right? All this cool stuff, and then my name was the last one, and I remember getting that
Were
name.
you the last one to get your name?
I don't see
'Cause
like
that
what
would've
the
been funny.
hell, right? I was too. My
Oh.
sister got it first.
So the last one was your name.
That was my native name that they gave me, was the last one.
And who's they?
My
Because I'm not familiar.
yeah. So we have an uncle that does all of our like medicine man stuff. He
Yeah.
does all of our sweat lodges.
Yeah.
Every single thing that they have a statue of him at BYU.
Oh, really?
He's a really known Native American.
Okay.
And so he would do all these things for us. I don't want to get too into it because I want people thinking that we're like blood magic,
Yeah,
witchcraft shit,
yeah.
But But yeah, so basically, they just pray and they sing, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it comes, but it comes, I was so young when it happened,
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember getting that name and just being like, what the hell does this mean?
So does anybody today refer to you as that?
No.
It
Thank
didn't
God.
stick.
No.
So I gotta ask, if your sister was before you, what was her name given?
Blue Star Woman was her name.
Huh.
Right? And that's pretty
Yeah.
cool too,
Yeah.
The last one, like,
I mean, it has a ring to
it
it.
sounds cool.
Yeah. Definitely a little odd, you know.
Yeah, but so now that I'm older, you know, and I can reflect on my life,
Yeah.
you know, and how much, like I said, I was destined to do bad,
Yeah.
to go to prison, to stay in the game my whole life, and
Yeah.
to be a piece of shit, basically,
Yeah.
like,
And
that's
nothing even is to. I mean, we are who. You are who, like, you are the product of how you were raised.
mm-hmm,
So you can't blame anybody for how they end up in their younger years, is because that's how they were taught, that's how they were raised. If
mm-hmm.
I raised you to believe that you're gonna piss sitting down,
Yeah,
yeah, if I
exactly.
tell you every day that
Exactly.
that's what you got to do, you
Uh-huh.
be sitting down, and then you get to an adulthood and everybody's questioning you, why the fuck are you peeing sitting down?
Why are your pants down at the urinal?
Yeah. Why are you sitting in the urinal? Yeah. No, you can't. I mean, you can kind of judge from afar, but like, that's how they were taught.
Yeah.
That's what they believed, because that's what they were shown from a young age,
Mm-hmm.
Like everything, a lot of things have been passed down. Like, certain things, like I remember a lot of times, don't sit next to the TV, so close to the TV, you go blind or whatever,
Yeah. Don't
No-
stare at the microwave.
Yeah, random shit. A lot of it you have to learn on your own. Like, I sat right next to the TV, eating my string cheese. I went blind. I'm blind as fuck now. Or like microwave. I wanted to make my parents some breakfast in the morning, so I stuck this big ass pan in there, and fucking, static, electricity, whatever, started happening. You're not supposed to stick metal in the microwave either. But you know what? I learned. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
still have that
it's
microwave.
good, it's always good.
Yeah.
So I've always thought, now I think that the last one was meant more of like, because like I said, it is a generational curse.
Yeah.
It is, and I feel like that's what it meant. It's like I'm the last one to go through that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure that I am. I'm gonna make sure that my kids.
Yeah.
I can't speak outside of my family, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that my kids have the best life that I can give them, so
Yeah.
that they don't have to go through anything like that.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, just moving them down here, they're away from what triggers you into doing things,
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, like, it is who you surround yourself with. So down here, you're more surrounded with people that are a part of this church. You're surrounded with people that, tend to, in most eyes, not do anything bad. So you're intended to not really, be subjected to that. But up there, there's consistent, violence, crimes,
Yeah.
So just escaping that all on its own, you've already set your family in the next generation on a new path.
Yeah. I'm excited for what my life has for me.
Yeah.
I
And you're
mean,
young. I mean, you'll get to see your kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
You started young, so all your kids are gonna be fucking out of the house before you're even 40.
And I'm excited.
Yeah. So my question is, will your kids get names?
I feel like I'd leave that up to them.
Yeah. Is your girl native, or is she?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, her mom has this thing, right? She says she's native. Okay.
Uh-huh.
My girl swears she's not. But if you looked at her siblings and her mom and her dad, you wouldn't get one little bit of native out of any of them.
So one thing with alcohol, it's always been like this thing that natives can't handle their alcohol. Would you say that is a factual statement?
I would say natives can handle their alcohol. They might get a little lost in it sometimes. They
Yeah.
might go a little crazy sometimes. But I'd say everybody has that point. They can
Yeah.
handle it or they can't. Or they all have that point where they can, and then they hit the point where they can't anymore. Like, I wouldn't say, like, everybody has stereotypes, and
Yeah.
obviously that's one of them for
Yeah.
Native Americans.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't get into stereotypes.
So my question, I have a question. So you lived with your grandma, practically raised by your grandma. Would
Yeah.
you say your relationship with your grandma is the strongest out of all the elders in your family?
Yeah, so I have a kind of a story about that, okay?
Yeah.
Is I remember for Mother's Day, my mom was staying with my grandma. She
Yeah.
was at my grandma's house.
And is this your mom's mom?
My mom,
Yeah, your mom's grandma?
my
I mean,
dad's mom,
oh,
okay?
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's there, okay, and I just like I said, I was raised by my grandma, and I'm not afraid to say that I love my grandma
That's
the
yeah.
most.
Yeah.
She's at the top of the line for me, because
Yeah.
she's always done everything she could for me.
Yeah.
But I do remember coming in and kind of dogging my mom.
Yeah.
She kind of like came in for a hug and stuff, and I remember kind of just walking past her
Yeah.
and going up to my grandma first and giving her a hug and kiss and saying Happy Mother's Day, and then saying it to my mom. But yeah, so I mean, I would say that me and my grandma I definitely have the best relationship with my grandma than I do
Yeah.
with anybody else.
Because
in my
even though it
family.
wasn't her responsibility, she was the one that was there to step up and take care of you and imagine your siblings
My
in
sister,
in this hard time. Yeah.
and so it was more of like, just I can respect it. I know
Yeah.
she tried her hardest
I
for
mean,
me.
yeah, because she
And I
already
can
did her job
respect it.
for her kids.
Yeah.
So like to take on, when you think of being a grandparent, you're like, oh, I get to have the kids without all the responsibility. But not, she had to take on, especially up north.
And she had no
troubled,
husband.
yeah,
She was
troubled
a single
teens, all
grandma.
that.
Raising two kids that are her grandkids.
Yeah.
And so I've always respected my grandma for it, because I left the home at like 12.
Yeah.
And then I came back at like 13 for maybe a couple months until I got off the system. And then I went to Salt Lake at 14, and I never went home after that.
Yeah.
So growing up, I bounced around a lot. So it's not like I was with my grandma the
Through all of
whole
it, yeah.
time.
But when you needed it.
But I know that she tried her hardest, and
Yeah.
that's why I can respect it, and that's why
Yeah.
I can love her so much.
So even though you were, rebellious and did things,
hmm
you knew, wasn't on her as to why you were, maybe couch hopping because you knew she
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah, I felt like at the end of the day, I mean, what I grew up around probably had a big impact in it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I knew that I was making my own decisions.
Yeah.
I knew that,
And she was probably accepting of that in a way.
and yeah, I mean, it was hard. Growing up, it was hard because, so I lived with her, and my dad for a while, and then my dad was on the run. He had warrants for his arrest.
Yeah.
And so he took me and my sister up to Salt Lake with him, and we were with him while he had these warrants. And one day he ended up getting pulled over, and they told him, "We'll give you 15 minutes to have somebody down here to pick your kids up, and if they're not here within 15 minutes, we're gonna call DCFS and have them come pick them up."
Yeah.
And so he's calling everybody, nobody's answering, and he calls my Uncle Butch, who is the one I told you had a statue.
Yeah.
He calls my Uncle Butch, and he comes and picks us up. And at that time, my grandma wasn't ready to take in both of us.
Yeah.
So my sister went with her, and I went with my grandpa because I already had kind of a relationship with my grandpa.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I'd see my grandma like on the weekends and my sister and stuff, but I was living with my grandpa.
Yeah.
And it was my grandpa, his wife, and their 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter.
Now this grandpa, was he originally with your grandma?
hmm
Okay.
So it was my dad's dad.
Okay.
I've never met anybody from my mom's side.
Oh really?
She said that her mom died when she was like 11. So I've only met siblings.
Okay.
But
So when you say she said, is it that you don't believe it?
it's just that
Or
there's just been nothing said, like
Yeah.
I don't,
like not enough evidence or
yeah,
story?
like, I love my mom, but at the end of the day, I can't deny she's a drug addict,
Yeah.
and
Which I've learned this too, like even with my mom being a drug addict. We do your due, keep it away from me, and I can't control.
yeah, I'll love you from a distance.
Yeah.
hmm
I don't want you in my. I mean, not for my situation, I don't want you in my life
hmm
because you're not willing to make the sacrifices to be there. Obviously, like it's not going to benefit me.
Yeah.
Not that it should always have to have a beneficial factor, but it's definitely gonna bring me down the more I would spend with her.
Yeah.
She hasn't put in effort, so like therefore I'm good. But yeah, I mean like in a way, everybody's entitled to live the life they want, and
Mhm.
if you want to do drugs, then cool. If
Yeah.
but just don't let it affect everyone's life.
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah, for sure,
Like if
It's-
you're 60 and retired, go smoke meth on a ranch. I don't care.
If that's what you want to do
Yeah.
your thing, just leave the little girls out of it,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that shit by yourself,
Yeah.
But so like, so for my grandpa, I went and I moved in with my grandma after that. I don't remember how that happened, but it happened. And then we moved to Arizona because I started getting into a lot of trouble at school, and
Yeah.
I started having lunch detention like every day, like kindergarten, first grade lunch detention,
Yeah.
because I was getting into too many fights and stuff. And so she recognized it and she moved us out to Arizona.
Your grandma?
hmm
Okay.
And it still was going on out there. I was still doing
Yeah.
bad and kept getting in fights, and so she sent me to live with my grandpa again. And he was a lot more strict,
Yeah. Which
And
she
then
tried,
yeah, she
but
tried. She
you were
tried her
still
hardest.
rebelling outside of that. So
Yeah. And so from my grandpa's, I went with my uncle, and this is like fourth grade now. I'm
Yeah.
already bouncing around so much. And so from my uncle, fourth grade, I spent with him. Then him and his wife started going through issues. So then I moved in with my aunt, and then I lived with her for a little bit, and then I got kicked out of school from there, and I moved in with my dad, and then from my dad I went back with my aunt, and then just all this jumping around
yeah,
stuff.
that must suck also for like school, because obviously like you get into
Yeah.
school and you see the girl that's a cute one, and then you're like, damn, I kind of like this girl, and then you're like, damn, I'm somewhere else now, new
Yeah,
school,
now I'm
never,
outta here.
I'm never gonna see her again.
Yeah. And so my grandma finally moved down after that. She moved back down from Arizona, and she came and picked me and my sister up because my sister was with my mom during this
Oh.
whole time I'm bouncing around. I guess my sister was with my mom, and I had like no contact with her, so I'm not really knowing
Yeah.
what's going on. And so she comes down, she gets us, and she tells us, this is like coming on sixth grade. Yeah, sixth grade, right? And she tells us, she says, I'm sorry that you guys have bounced around so much, but I promise you guys aren't ever gonna have to leave my house again. Okay?
Yeah.
And then from there, sixth grade came, and I was doing good. And seventh grade came, and within like, I think a month of seventh grade, I got caught with an ounce of weed at school.
Oh shit.
And my grandma came, and he said, okay, well, you can take him. And my grandma said, I'm not taking him. You found weed with him, you take him to jail, let him learn.
Yeah.
And so they took me to this place called Vantage Point, which is like kind of a group home,
Okay. And I bet you're like, damn, grandma.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Grandma, you know what that
First I lose my weed, and now I'm fucking going off to
Yeah.
sleep in bunk beds with some random.
Now she don't even want me.
Yeah.
But and so right when that happened, she told my mom she needs to get her shit together and she needs to start taking over and she needs to do it.
Yeah.
And my mom has warrants during this time, and so she's not coming to my court date or anything. And so I went to court, right? And they told me I needed to turn myself in to go to court in DT, right? They said you have court on like 8 o'clock on Monday. Come turn yourself in Sunday night, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing that. So I turned myself in Monday at like 6 in the morning. Okay. It's supposed to be quick, in and out. You're gonna go to court. You're gonna go home.
Yeah.
That quick in and out turned to like 3 or 4 months. Of me just sitting there because my mom's not coming to court because
Yeah.
she has warrants.
And your grandma's trying to teach you.
And my grandma, yeah, she's trying to teach me, so she's not coming either. So that in that whole time they're not coming, I finally went and seen a judge, an actual judge,
Yeah.
and they said, she said, well, I'm sorry that you've just been sitting in there, but we're gonna send you to a foster home. And so then she sent me to a foster home. I think I was there 2 days and I ran away, and then came back, and then 2 more days and I ran away and didn't come back.
And that's when you're off doing your thing,
And then that's when I was done. I moved up to Salt Lake after that, and
no one was like trying to hunt you down, like no one from the system or anything.
I mean, they were, there's been
To an
a couple of
extent.
times
Up
where
there, it's probably very popular. Very
oh yeah,
happens all the
yeah.
time.
My grandma said that they were always looking for me, and she was always calling the cops, telling them where I was at and stuff. But I never had any issues.
Yeah.
I always ran away from them anyways.
That's what I can appreciate about these small towns is they don't send you to court, these real courts and stuff. Down here, there's youth court. You do community service. You do simple stuff. DT's cake.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's teaching them very much, but it's not like to the extent where, in that position, you are getting taught that all these negatives about the law and everything, instead of like saying, oh, you did something wrong. Here's something. Let me teach you why it's wrong.
Mhm.
Instead, they were like, we're gonna fucking lock you up. We don't care. I guess down here they're more investing in creating their society of people that do the mistakes, learn from them, and become better. Up there, they're like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're gonna do their thing.
And that's what's crazy is because I was always going to DT and Provo, Slate Canyon, because that's where I was raised until I was like 14 when I left. I moved to Salt Lake. I was always going to court and going to DT and Provo. And when I got caught in Salt Lake for my charges, they put me in Salt Lake for a couple weeks until I got transported.
Mhm.
And in Provo, it's like, oh, what are you here for? Little white kid. I threw the remote at my mom.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then up in Salt Lake, I'm like, oh, what are you guys here for? He's like, oh, I'm trying to beat a murder case. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Why'd
you
they
went-
put me in here with these
Yeah,
crazy
you're like
ass
went from the
guys?
middle, like before you were at a place where everybody was softer than you, and
Hmm.
then you go to this place where everybody's like should be probably in grown man prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple kids in there, 16, 15, 14,
Yeah.
little kids. There was one in there, big ass Polynesian guy, hella big, I think he was 17, getting ready to be transferred over to prison, and he was already down for like 3 years for a murder charge or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a big transition.
And I remember when I went to DT, this kid he was like 10, and I'm like 16. I'm just there because I got like busted with some weed or whatever. I'm chilling in there. They give you milk and cookies in the one down here. That
Yeah.
they let you chill. They're pretty chill. This kid's like 10, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm from up north. I stabbed a kid." I'm like, "The fuck?
It's crazy.
Why are we in the same room?"
It's crazy,
He got busted
it's
for
super
like
crazy.
any type of drug charge. I feel like if it's not a violence thing, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Like the
Mhm.
way you can get the same amount of years in prison for drugs as you can for murder
Yeah.
or rape.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous.
It is crazy. Yeah,
I mean,
I've
if
had
you're- yeah.
I've had some aggressive charges. Nothing like stabbings or anything. I've
Yeah.
had assaults. Aggravated, just fightings and all that stuff. I've had those charges and stuff. But I, it was crazy because when you move to Salt Lake and you go to DT in Salt Lake, I
Yeah.
guess it's like if you've been locked up more than 5 times, they put you with the higher class people, and so that's why I was moved with.
Yeah. So even though
these murderers.
yours were lower grade crimes or whatever, you were put with people that did a one and done shot, stabbed, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
Which
Like that Fashion Place mall shooting.
Yeah.
I was in there with a couple guys that were involved in that.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy seeing people that are supposed to be like me,
Yeah.
just freeze up.
Yeah.
Like you guys knew what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And then once it happens, everybody's just pointing the finger.
And it's kind of how it is in the cities or whatever. So like how it is in like prison, and a lot of times you pick who you're rolling with.
Mhm.
There is no like you hang out with all of everybody.
Mhm.
There's the groups,
Yeah.
the gangs, whatever. There's the blacks, Mexicans, whites, whatever it is. You have to pick. So like up north, if you are up north and in a city and in this area where all this is happening, you have to choose to be a part of it, or if you're not, you end up being the victim.
Yep.
So like
Yep.
you get robbed, you get shot, you get stabbed, or you be hanging out with the people that are doing all those things. So
Yeah.
it's a choice. It's a life or death situation.
I
As
just
much
feel
as it
like-
shouldn't be, but
I feel like for kids, at the end of the day, just be you.
Yeah.
Be cool. You're good enough.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be
you don't get to
a
be hard.
gang member. You don't gotta do any of this stuff. Like
Yeah.
if I wasn't, man, I'd probably be so different right now.
Yeah. Which, like you said, I mean, no regret, but
Yeah, no
I
regrets.
mean,
I'm chilling.
obviously, if there was the path shown, do I do these crazy things or do I take the easier? Because I
Mhm.
mean, although it seems cool and fun, it's obviously going to be a harder road.
I remember my first day in DT. I was 12 years old, and I was bawling like a little girl, dude. Bawling, bro. Like, I mean, not excessively, but
It's almost like Scared Straight.
but
You
too
thought you were
much,
hard,
Yeah. Just bawling, that first day, just like, what the fuck? Like, what did I get myself into,
Yeah.
But I remember after that first day, going to bed that night and just talking to myself, you did this, sit down and deal with it, you
Yeah.
know? Don't, crying isn't going to fix, just
Yeah,
sit
just, uh,
down and deal with it, you did this and you're most likely going to continue to do this shit, so you better get used to this shit,
Yeah.
and,
Change or get used to it.
and then after that day, it was smooth.
Yeah.
After that day, it was smooth.
Yeah. Could you imagine the different person you'd be if you were raised like here? I mean, even
Could
with the
you
same kind of
imagine-
situations, but just like the way it is here.
I'm just like, could you imagine me with V's haircut? Not dogging on it, but
I mean, that's a small town. Then there's you. Yeah.
yeah,
I asked him today. I said, "Do you miss your long hair?" He He's like, yeah. And I was thinking about it. I was like, oh yeah, I used to be a long hair guy too. Got rid of it.
See, and I was asking, were you talking to your dad? I was talking to your dad today, and I was like, why don't you just dye your hair black, like dark brown or something, And he's like, no, what the fuck, And I was like, yeah, I don't think I've ever dyed my hair. And he's like, well, I don't think colored people really do dye their hair.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of stuck with in a way, like the more melanin, the more dark your skin is. Dark features everywhere,
Yeah.
dark eyes, dark.
Uh-huh.
It's a rare like. There's this in I forgot where, at this Arby's. I met this dude and he's chill. He's like a light skin,
Mhm.
but he has green eyes. Hella sick. It's a rare thing where you find someone with darker skin with any color of eye or different color hair.
Sure.
Like I remember I went to this boys and girls club, and I saw this black girl and she was outside and she had blonde pixie haircut, like a straight white girl wig on her, and I was like so confused. I'm like 8, and I'm like, what's going on? I've never seen.
Confusing, for
Yeah.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like it ain't possible. I've met some black girls with like some red dyed hair, but it's not like any vibrant or like X, half blonde.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not as common,
Yeah, and that's what I was asking you. I was like, could you imagine me with blonde hair? Like, imagine me with some long blonde hair.
Okay, I could picture like when you were showing me the pictures of you a little younger with the shorter hair. I could picture some frost.
Like
tips.
some like little tips or some shit.
Yeah, but
Little
I couldn't
pretty boy
picture you
shit.
like bleached out like Slim Shady.
Hell no, dude.
No,
Hell
I can't.
no.
I can't imagine that.
One thing I've always stuck to was slick backs.
Yeah.
I've always just had slick backs. I mean, I've like jumped up and down.
But you had like G-Eazy hair in those photos.
Yeah.
Like straight like G-Eazy.
Yeah. That's how I liked it though.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
nice
it
slick
looked good.
back. Nothing too crazy.
I have one question. A question that's been in my mind forever. How come, no matter what, it could be 180 degrees outside, how come you wear sweatpants under your jeans?
So
It's been a question of mine for fucking ever. I just had to wait for this moment to ask.
It's a habit I got into.
Like I was thinking, are you keeping things in the pockets underneath?
No.
Was that why it became the habit, or what?
So it first happened. What started this whole thing is ever since I was younger, I was always wearing shorts under my pants. You
Yeah.
know, always had shorts under my pants because
Boxers weren't enough.
because what if you're about to play some ball with your homies or some shit?
Just
You
preparation.
guys about to go swim or something. Or you want to get down at recess. Playing soccer or some shit. You're going hard. I'd always take my pants off and do it with my shorts. And put them back on after.
Yeah.
And so it went from that to just being in Salt Lake. I always just feel like to answer your question.
And I know it makes your pants like baggy in a certain
That's why
way,
I do it.
but
That's why I do it is because without sweats under your pants,
it's only baggy at the bottom.
it's gonna look like this with sweats on your pants, right?
Yeah.
But without sweats, it's gonna go like that. It's
Yeah.
all gonna be sagged, and I just think that's so ugly.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so that's why I do it.
So when you see me and I'm wearing baggy jeans and they're only baggy at the bottom, you're like, this fucking guy. Or is it something different? Do you think it's only on you? that
Honestly,
you
I
see
was
that?
telling my girl before I came too. It was just like Tristan just has a different style.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. Everybody has their own different style.
That's why I look different every day. I do
Yeah,
a
you
different
do.
style. Sometimes I'm dressed up all nice. Sometimes I'm all gangster. Sometimes I'm
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
e-boy. To be honest, I just don't know. I think it's like my hair thing, how I cut it and change it all the time. It's because I test what I can still pull off.
Yeah, and
know?
I mean it looks cool though. At least you're comfortable to do it. you know?
Yeah. Like a lot of people rely on certain features or things that they have to feel confident.
Yep.
And I usually do. But it's because of that I find that as like sometimes, I don't know, I try to be my strongest self. So like if me having long hair makes me my most confident,
Yeah.
then I need to cut it off
Yeah, I feel it.
to get rid of that weakness of I need to find confidence with having short hair, or I need to find confidence with this or that. I need to build this confidence in because you never know. What if I go bald?
hmm
I need to feel confident being bald.
And it's always good to be comfortable like that with yourself, and always to surprise yourself,
Yeah, kind of make yourself be like, damn, I gotta go out of the house tomorrow. Which has happened. Like, if I went home right now and shaved what little facial hair I have off, I'd be scared to come to work because I look like a little baby.
Bro, that's how I felt when I
Oh,
shaved my facial hair.
I know.
Dude.
I was
did
like,
not
what
like
the?
it, dude.
I was like, no.
For like the first day at work, I was
Especially
just
since
like,
I'd never seen you like that.
yeah, it was so weird, dude. I didn't like it at all. I'd catch
I
myself.
know you had your hood on and everything. I was like,
Like even
what the heck?
now, this isn't like nowhere near how long it was.
Yeah.
You know, and it still feels weird. You know.
Yeah.
And so I get it. It threw me off so hard, dude.
No. When my dad came up to me and was like, Maurice shaved his face, I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's all gone. I'm like, oh fuck. I gotta prepare myself for this mentally to
It
go
was
see this guy.
crazy, dude. But after a day of me like kind of being like, damn, this just feels weird, you know.
Yeah.
It was more
Probably a little bit
uncomfortable.
of people making fun of you or you making fun of yourself in front of people like, damn.
It was just I remember doing that and being uncomfortable and then
Yeah.
going home and just thinking to myself,
He'll be back.
I've been through
Uh-huh.
everything in my life and I'm worried about a couple fucking facial hairs. You
Yeah.
know? I don't care. So after that, I was like, man, I don't give a shit.
I definitely was surprised. I was like, I almost want to do it too to make him not feel alone. I'm gonna shave my face too.
But when I did it, right, I was like, should I just cut my hair and just go straight throwback shit, you know? Just go
Oh,
back
I
to
thought you meant
old
like
school.
bald.
No, like
I was
nice
like,
little
you're gonna
slick
go bald
back,
all the
you
way?
know, just kick it, you know? Just
Sometimes
go
I
back.
wish I could see you with your haircut, but I also think about like when you have that long of hair and that much time to take to grow it, you might feel good about it, but sometimes you'll be like, damn, I wish my hair was long again.
See, I'm not against cutting my hair. I'm really not because my hair, if I had to throw a number out there, I'd say it was a good 24 inches long, you know? Maybe more before I cut it, you know? But because I lost my son, I cut my braid off,
Yeah.
you know? And so I wouldn't
And
mind
I
getting
remember
it.
it was fluffy then.
It was
yeah, it's some texture.
long, dude.
Yeah,
It was nice. Choi Palu Malu, you know?
straight looked like you could have been like in any movie where it shows Dwayne the Rock Johnson's family. You look like you could have been there.
That's
with it
funny.
out.
No, like it, and so that, you know, I mean, I don't mind cutting it because since I cut it off of the braid, it's so uneven now, you
Yeah.
know? My top is longer than my back, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's starting to come together now, but I wouldn't be against shaving it.
Yeah, I think one of these days you ought to try it.
The only reason why I don't is because having long hair has pushed my hairline back so fucking far, dude.
Like I fucking Ariana Grande up in here with her ponytail.
Dude, for real. So I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be cool. It'd be crazy. It'd be different. It definitely would. I mean, you'd have to think. I mean, it's gonna take a while to grow back if you want it long again. But in that awkward stage, obviously, you gotta go through that again. But I
Mhm.
mean, you wear hats all the time,
All the time.
so it's like awkward stage won't matter, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're ever feeling like it, I mean, I'll show you my barber. He can get you a clean cut.
No, I know your barber.
You do?
He's a chubbier guy.
Which one?
Always wears nice clothes, nice shoes. Works at the Orem Mall when you first come in through the door.
Yeah. So there's I got
And
two.
He has curly hair, longer hair.
Nope.
You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking
I
about, but
know that
that's
guy.
not the guy that. So it's he's 18, but he looks like he's
Oh shit.
older, and his name is Noah. And then there's this other guy named Ernest that also cut my hair, and yeah,
They're both pretty good, huh?
yeah, they
Hey,
do
shout out
good.
to them.
Yeah, I plan on getting Noah and Ernest on here at some point, but yeah, they do good. I mean, you've seen David's hair and you've seen my hair. I mean, they see what will fit you good and they do it. And surprisingly, like the kid that's 18, he's so good at it. I'm
Yeah.
so confused.
And I love, like supporting younger people,
Yeah,
people on the come up, I love that shit,
Yeah.
know. You see a little kid selling lemonade, throw him a couple of dollars,
Yeah.
even if you don't want lemonade.
there was
you know?
a kid here in town that had a bunch of like sodas in a
Mhm.
cooler, and I didn't even take them. I just threw him like $10 because I figured he's probably selling them for $1. That's
Yep.
10 cans,
Yeah.
and he just saved.
Usually when I'm up north and I see kids selling stuff,
Yeah.
I usually just give them a 20,
Yeah.
like let me get like
Because
4
it
or
makes their
5
day. It makes their
lemonades.
week.
Yeah, and I got a big family, you
Yeah.
know. I'll walk up asking for 5 lemonades,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw you $20 for making them,
Yeah. Yeah. I always like to support, local or small business or even just, anyone trying to adapt or kind of do their own hustle, their own little hustle.
Yeah, and it's always like it'll always come back to you, you know.
Yeah.
Like I try to do little simple acts,
Yeah.
just to do it,
Yeah.
always makes you feel better. Like the other day, we were pulling out of our out of the road right there, right by my house. We were pulling out to turn left,
Yeah.
and as we were turning left, the car on the other left lane on like the other road next by the cemetery, he was also turning left, and he turned before us. And when he turned, he had the trunk of his car open, of his
Yeah.
truck. It was open, and all of his tools just fell out all over the road, dude.
Oh.
and there's like probably 2 or 3 more cars in front of me, and they all just like drove past and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But so I stopped right in the middle of the road, you know, put him in park, put my hazards on, got out and helped him pick it up, you know.
Yeah.
And it always just, you know, it always feels good to just do simple little things, you know.
Yeah. I mean, not only will it all come back to you, but you know, you never know. You make someone's day. You know, you help them out. You know, it could have been their last straw for that day. You know, that could have been the last bad like experience he could have had that day before he decided I'm done. You know, it's something so simple because if you live and this day has been nothing but shit, and then something, it's like my most annoying thing. You ever try and like eat something that you need a fork for, but you eat it with a spoon and it just keeps falling off?
I mean, if I need a fork, I get a fork.
Or sometimes you're down bad. Or even with a fork, you pick something up and it falls on the plate, and then you fucking pick it up and it keeps falling on the plate. So like it gets to the point where you're like, damn, I'm fucking pissed. That could have been like, oh, it's the 6th time that damn food's fallen off of his fork, and you were there to help him pick it up. You know?
Nah, my girl has this weird thing that she does, where she'll make like chicken and rice or some shit.
Yeah.
And she'll give me a fork to eat with it, you know. And I'm like, you know, you might like a fork, but I like to scoop my rice, you know.
Yeah.
And so I get it for sure, because sometimes I'll be like, man, who the fuck eats rice with a fork, dude? You know?
Well, you know, I've been using a lot of plastic utensils.
Oh, that's the way to go.
And you know, we always be running out of forks first. So I got a whole shit ton of spoons left. And I'm like, I pick it up, get it. It's always so close to your mouth, and then boom, right on the fucking. I'm like,
yeah, I get you. Especially those plastic ones and shit.
Yeah.
They're so slippery.
Yeah, I was leaving Maverick the other day. I had a hot dog in my hand. I'm trying to turn, gets ketchup all over my steering wheel, and then falls on my lap. And I'm not gonna let it ruin my day or make me mad or anything. I just picked it up and started eating it. I was like, fucking, grabbed a hoodie out of the back, wiped it off. It was alright. But yeah, my hot dog.
That's fucked up, dude.
Getting a little cold in here or what?
Nah, I'm chilling, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fucked up, dude. A hot dog. That's hella
Yeah.
fucked up. You like them glizzies or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I used to hate hot dogs, but lately I've been going to Maverick, finding myself getting some glizzies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking glizzy monster or what?
Yeah, you put some of that ketchup on there and then some of that like green spicy relish stuff.
Oh, you like that relish shit?
Yeah.
That shit's good.
That's in the little tray. You scoop that.
You know
put it on
that's pickled pickles?
there. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's crazy.
It's weird. It tastes so good, and I hate pickles, dude.
It's crazy that aren't cucumbers pickles? You do something to a cucumber and it becomes a pickle?
I hate cucumbers too. But is
Oh.
it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm not a big vegetable guy, and I really should be.
Yeah. It's crazy how a lot of people don't like one thing, but it is something else. Like someone will be like, I hate ketchup, but I like tomatoes. Or I don't like tomatoes, but I love ketchup. It's
Yep.
like, what do you mean? It's the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's mental.
You know, some fruits actually hold nicotine in them.
Really?
Yeah, like tomatoes and apparently potatoes. That's why a lot of times when you find someone that quits smoking, they eat a lot of chips. And it's because, you know, that's been known to help someone when they quit smoking.
That's
Eat chips,
crazy.
but potatoes have nicotine in them. So that's why it helps, is because you are getting a little bit of nicotine in you from eating
That's cool.
chips.
It must be like, I don't know.
And that's why chips are addicting when you start eating them. Not just flavor, but what's in it.
Yeah, I feel it, dude. I feel that.
I feel like this has been a long one.
Has it? How long have we been shooting?
I don't know.
50 minutes?
Yeah, 50 minutes.
I feel like it was a good one, though.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like like I said, you know, like we don't need a topic or anything.
Yeah.
You know, you just go.
You just shoot.
I just
You can go for it.
You know?
Different guess. How you feeling about it? Comfortable with what's been filmed today? What's happened?
Hey, man, I'm not worried about it. I hope you're comfortable, too, because I've made sure to watch my language.
Oh, yeah. Try not to get canceled out here. Anyways, as this one wraps up, I will say if he decides to cut his hair, we will film it. We will make
Yup.
sure to show you guys.
Yup.
And he will return. But what are the chances of you cutting your hair?
I guess we'll see how this video goes.
Okay, if this blows up in any way, shape, or form, he will get a haircut.
Yeah,
Agree?
I'll get down.
Yeah, okay, I bet. Noah, we'll bring him to you.
Yeah. Shout out Noah.
Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm here with Maurice. What's your last name again?
Uribe.
Yeah, I can never pronounce it. I didn't want to mess it up.
Nah, you're
Anyways,
good. You're good.
His Instagram will be up here somewhere. Go give him a follow. And thanks for watching. This is podcast episode 5 out. We'll have some more coming in the future. Peace.
You guys stay up, man.
Yeah.